time for Lefties Losing It. You know, nothing makes me happier than when new pronouns drop, new ways to mangle the English language and beclown yourself. So strap yourselves in for this pronoun extravaganza. I can guarantee even your non-binary greenhead cousin from Seattle hasn't heard some of these.
So this is a video for neopronoun users to duet. Or, if you're considering neopronouns for yourself, maybe even try a blind react. However, safety first, before you do either of those things, make sure you're in a mental state where if you do get misgendered, you will be okay. Alright, are you ready? Let's get started. Do you see this person next to me? E is my friend. C has had to put up with a lot to get to where Per is today. I just want to let Glint know that Thon is valid, that ver pronouns are valid, and that Sarah identity is valid. I wish Void all the best, and look forward to maybe even seeing some of their lovely content someday. Please, treat them with respect, and I'm sure A will respect you too. So how did that feel? Are there any neopronouns that stuck out to you that you might want to use for yourself? Good luck on your pronoun journey.
How did that feel? I don't know. I feel like I lost 20 IQ points. That's how I feel. And while we are losing IQ points at a rapid rate, let's check in with the Veep. Take it away, Kamala.
Fortunate and blessed to, during the course of being vice president, have many situations where it becomes clear to me that there are, people of every age and gender, by the way, who see something about being the first that lets them know they don't need to be limited by other people's limited understanding of who can do what.
Yes, that was profound. Now to a pampered little princess who has clearly been indulged by her supportive parents. Listen to this mad rant about the perils of having a mum and dad who love and care enough to be there at all your events, all the boring dance recitals and sporting events. Apparently that's tantamount to abuse.
Am I the only one whose narcissistic parent would show up to every single event I was ever involved in? This is one of those weird ones where I always felt like speaking about this behavior negatively could be perceived in the wrong way, like my parent was just being supportive, and how lucky was I to have a parent who always showed up. Boo-hoo, your parent was there for you. But did you also feel like sometimes it was a bit excessive, especially if it was a bit more of a repetitive thing where maybe I was doing the same thing on multiple days in a row? Like, you do not have to attend every one. And what makes this lean more towards the negative, in my opinion, in terms of behavior, is that if I ever didn't want them to show up to every single showing of something, that was considered to be disrespectful. It was very much that taking me out of school for lunch, sort of picking me up and dropping me off everywhere I went energy, where on the surface it seems very convenient, very thoughtful even, but it's a pattern of controlling behavior, I think, for narcissistic parents.
Could you be, I don't know, less ungrateful? I don't know. Let's go to a lefty losing it, pushing demented fantasist tales of what life would be like under a second Trump term. This is 85-year-old Californian Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
The man who we better be careful about, and I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the President to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
Training up in the hills. Yes, those right-wing organisations. The pure weapon-grade chutzpah there is something to behold. Not only is she obviously lying about Trump and his supporters, but does she think we've forgotten what she said even after the BLM Antifa riots raged across America, causing around $2 billion in damage, leaving more than 20 people dead, many more seriously injured? Even after all that, Maxine told them to stay on the streets and fight if Derek Chauvin was not convicted of murder.
We've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that is say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And that's not the worst of it. This is Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters back in 2018 encouraging mobs to attack Trump's cabinet members wherever they found them.
Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And it's worth reminding folks of the ugly violence we saw in DC and elsewhere during Trump's inauguration, let alone his reign. It seems this has all been memory hold.
The anger reaching a boiling point in the nation's capital after President Trump took the oath of office. Police in riot gear facing off against the protesters just 6 blocks from the inaugural parade. Unleashing pepper spray, concussion grenades, all to disperse the crowd.
They've been using pepper spray out of canisters.
Then 3 vehicles set on fire.
2 vehicles have been ignited. The fire folks have just moved in.
Many of the protesters cloaked in black with their faces covered.
The protesters had filled the street with several trash cans, and now police and fire are trying to move them out of the way.
Earlier in the day, self-proclaimed anarchists smashed Washington storefronts with hammers.
One of the cars they lit on fire was a limo. Remember that? Owned by a migrant small business owner who was in it at the time. He's lucky to be alive. And you'll see from this next video why for the 2020 election, shop windows were boarded up in DC, New York City, many other blue cities. They weren't scared about a Trump win. They were boarded up to protect them in case he won. They were boarded up to protect them from Democrats who behaved like this when Trump won the first time.
Watch out, watch out. Hey, easy. Easy. Here, come over here. Back. You all right, boss?
Now, I've avoided this for as long as I can, but we have to feature this. It's Hollywood has-been and Mark Hamill and Corinne Jean-Pierre. I apologise in advance.
There's no introduction that really is needed here. I have a special guest, as you can see. Mark Hamill has decided to join us on this wonderful Friday, and I am really excited to turn it over to Mr. Hamill. Here we go.
Okay, how many of you had Mark Hamill will lead the press briefing on your bingo card? Hands? Well, you know, I called him Mr. President. He said, you can call me Joe. And I said, can I call you Joe-B-1 Kenobi?
Time to check in on Vice President Kamala Harris, or should that be Mamala? Here she is, asked about Hamas and a ceasefire deal, but her response is shrimp and grits. I wish I was kidding.
Madam Vice President, Hamas has accepted a ceasefire deal. Hamas has accepted a ceasefire deal. Your reaction?
What are your thoughts on Hamas accepting a ceasefire deal?
She said shrimp and grits. If you wanted to know shrimp and grits, that's full quote there. Wow. Now to another Democrat woman doing the sisterhood proud. I'm just kidding. It's another embarrassing lefty losing it. Take it away, New York Governor Kathy Hochul with this wildly racist comment.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions.
She thinks kids in the Bronx don't know what a computer is. Has she been to the Bronx? I mean, talk about the bigotry of low expectations. Gross. But of course, it's not just the Democrat women disgracing the party. The fish rots from their head, and President Biden and his weakness on pretty much everything from foreign policy to protecting America's borders is the main issue facing America. And who better to sum up what is happening there than Senator John Kennedy from the great state of Louisiana?
Biden, with respect, he is old, he is weak, he knows he has to have the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party to be reelected. He's scared, as my dad used to say, he's nervous as a pregnant nun.
Succinct and accurate. Before we bring you some local lefties losing it from right here in Melbourne, let's see how our favourite trans activist Jeffrey Marsh is doing.
It's on the rise, I'll take that prize.
So much joy, so much trans joy. To Melbourne now, and the hostility Jewish students are facing on college campuses. Watch this young man at Monash University, draped in the Israeli flag, sitting still on the ground, not saying a word, while lefty banshees have meltdowns all around him. He reportedly sat there for 2 hours, suffering all sorts of verbal abuse from the love and tolerance mob.
And that's what we're doing right now. This man needs to leave immediately. And you people, every time you dare to show your face, you Israeli-loving genocide supporters, we will be here, we will not leave.
Isn't it nice of them to hold their speaker right by his ear? Yes, charming lot. Now to another funny moment from the roast of Tom Brady. Of course, he wasn't the only one roasted. Watch as Andrew Schultz goes after UFC boss Dana White.
For Dana. Dana's put more immigrants in cages than U.S. border policies. Dana is a skinhead genius. He found a way for minorities to beat each other up.
Isn't it great to see something actually funny and non-woke on Netflix? More please. And while we are enjoying satire, let's have a look at the work of this comic, Lyle Culpepper, mocking the college campus soy boys.
As you know, most of the encampments at UCLA have been torn down. There are still some survivors, and we desperately need humanitarian aid. We need water bottles. We need vegan food. We need gluten-free bagels. We need banana-free bananas, if you have them. Stop it. Stop. We need first aid kits. If anybody has enriched uranium, that would be super helpful. Or weapons-grade plutonium. If you have a free-range rocket launcher, we need a rocket launcher. If anybody has those old SS uniforms from the 40s, we need those. We need wheelchair-accessible paragliders for some of our disabled comrades. Oh, guard towers. We need guard towers. If anyone's been to Poland and they can get their hands on some guard towers.
Really hope he got his hands on some of those banana-free bananas. Now, regular viewers would know I love the great state of Florida, and when I see videos like this, I like it even more. The police down there in Florida have started doing some post-arrest content, and it's as good as you can imagine. Here is the sheriff from Polk County.
So we extracted him from the vehicle. He's not a sovereign citizen, but he's from New York, and that's what he told us. Florida law doesn't apply to me. I'm from New York. Well, he found out that Florida law does apply to him. He went to jail. He fooled around and found out, you know, FAFO. You can also use other words if you want to. So he's in jail for being stupid. So if there's those out there that think they don't have to comply with the law and don't have to listen to the lawful request of a law enforcement officer, you too will get a ride to the county jail.
FAFO lessons right there. Not to be outdone, St. Lucie County are also bringing us some 24-karat gold.
St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson. Earlier today, Elijah thought he's going to drive through St. Lucie County in a stolen vehicle and get into a car crash, working closely with the Florida Highway Patrol, not only on the sea, but on land. Elijah's now in custody. Our message is this to criminals: not in St. Lucie.
Not in St. Lucie, Elijah, not in St. Lucie, but the other counties will have to bring their A game to outdo Santa Rosa County. This is one of the best places on earth, the Florida Panhandle, and homemade invaders there are an endangered species.
His bond's $157,500, and I want to say, as to the person, we don't know which homeowner shot at him. I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday, and if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money.
Now, you can't explore the world of lefties losing it without encountering dangerous levels of cringe. So keep that in mind as you watch this offering from Harvard medical students.
My nose, but my knowledge ain't fleeting. Space repetition, give me something to believe in. Pass all my tests, but I just skim the reading. In the food chain, we're the ones that eat you. Harvard Med ain't no bottom feeder. MD stands for my demeanor. Ask permission before I ever greet you. Does it radiate? Does it come with strain? Scale 1 to 10, can you rate the pain? When I knock the door, you ask who is it? You can check my coat, it'll spell my name.
Yeah, you're messing with some Harvard MDs. Found my best friends for life from this Harvard MD. Giving everything we got for this Harvard MD.
Now from the top, make it drop, come get your Harvard MD. You got your offer, now say yes to this Harvard MD. We're talking doc, that's a Harvard MD. You deserve the spot, you got future Harvard MD.
There's some dogs in this house. There's some dogs in this house. There's some dogs in this house. There's some dogs.
I think what I took out of that is to never get sick. And Columbia medical students have also joined in this trend.
Meds comes for, really gotta come up to New York. Bring meds over here. You know where to go next year. Bring meds, you've arrived. Other schools can't match the vibe. Like the way we do it, so get to it. Time to make a move.
You know, there are so many forms of bigotry, and you're probably guilty of all of them, particularly if you prefer to date people who are not morbidly obese.
To insist your preference is for people who aren't lazy, sloppy, and disgusting and unhealthy, meaning that means you prefer skinny people because all fat people are those other things. That's actually bigoted. That's actually deciding that one group is all the same because of how they look. Hope that makes sense. Have a good day.
There you go, add fatphobic to the list. Now let's see who the good people of Ireland have representing them at Eurovision. She calls herself Bambi Thug, and she thinks she's really quite special.
Do you know what makes me special? I'm a queer. Woo! And I'm a witch!
Whoa, Ireland, that's terrifying. But I'm intrigued. What else is Bambi Thug outspoken about other than being a non-binary witch? Well, it turns out, as well as being imbecilic, she's also a hypocrite because she's all about boycotting Israel, but decided not to boycott this year's Eurovision over Israel's participation. Have a look.
So I stand with anyone doing the boycott. I think if I wasn't in the competition, I would also be boycotting. There are a lot of moving parts, and at the end of the day, without the group of us who is pro-Palestine, it is less competition for the other side to win, and it's less of solidarity there. Obviously, it's incredibly heavy.
Yes, I'm sure it's very heavy indeed. Now to the excesses of the trans agenda, and there are now books for toddlers explaining why their new baby brother or sister is really a they.
Is it a boy or a girl? It's a They by Lindsay Harriott. This book is all about welcoming a new baby into the family and not knowing how that baby will identify when they grow up. So we're not going to be assuming their gender. It's really ideal for people who are practicing gender creative parenting and already have one child, and they're trying to sort of explain this concept before the new baby gets here. But it's also useful for any family.
Oh, look, I'm fascinated and horrified all at once, but I don't want to judge a book by its demented cover, so let's explore what's inside.
Will they love to use he or she? Or maybe they'll always be a they. Our new baby wears cute little gym jams, pink and blue and green, bright in a rainbow of colors. They're ready to yawn and to dream. Our new baby gets lots of questions, like, are you a girl or a boy? We aren't sure of their gender yet, and they bring us so much joy.
Good Lord, but even this craziness isn't crazy enough for some. The book reviewer thinks this little book is too preoccupied with gender.
It is sort of designed for people who have a kid who does have a gender identity, like all this emphasis on the boy or girl or boy. I worry could maybe actually reinforce this concept that a child would need to pick.
Now here's an important message for all those straight people.
Straight people are getting too comfortable. I said what I said. Some things are not yours to talk about, joke about, or say. And you should go back to being deathly afraid of offending people.
Sorry, not afraid of offending people. Now, I think we all need a laugh, and comic Josh Ocean Thomas is just the man to provide it. Here he brutally mocks an audience member who admits to working for the Biden administration. Mistake.
What do you do for a living now? You work for the Biden administration. Is your job to wake them up, or what's your job? Hey! There's a war! Hey! Okay, what do you do for the Biden administration? What a show of a job you have. I can't believe you admitted that in front of all these people. You have the freedom to lie. You could have said you were a hooker and I would have been prouder of you. What do you do?
I travel to southern states.
Try to sell them on Biden? You're fucking retarded. What the are you talking about? That's your fucking job, is to go, hey, listen, I know you guys like Trump, but Biden, I mean, wow. Are you ready to be unemployed, or what's your vibe?
Now let's hear from a pro-Palestinian journalist, Abby Martin, who went on Piers Morgan's show and just spewed a lot of lies.
To continue their ethnic cleansing of Gaza is frankly absurd, patently so considering what we've seen them do just in the last several weeks, Piers. Evidence of summary executions of doctors, evidence of mass graves, hundreds of bodies bound, dozens of men, women, and children bound, evidence, according to the UN, of Palestinians buried alive, using drones to lure out Palestinians with sounds of crying children so they could be shot and killed.
She's describing Hamas there. Now, listen to Mossab Hassan Youssef tell Abby Martin precisely what he thinks of her and her journalism. This is the son of a Hamas founder, co-founder, and he has no time for lefty Karens losing it.
How can you be a journalist and you call this a genocide, ethnic cleansing, and she just keep repeating ethnic cleansing, genocide, colonialism, etc. None of it is real, including Palestine. It's only in your head. None of it is existential. Palestine was never born. How can you free it? It was never there. It's just a colonial entity, and some people choose to make it into a national identity. And this parrot has been just repeating Hamas propaganda. Marwan Barghouti that she's talking about him, she never met him. I knew Marwan before he got to power. He is a criminal. He killed 5 people. He has blood on his hands. He cheated on his wife. He has a secret son that he never revealed it to the public. Of course, I can criticize him, and I can criticize all the criminals that I know personally. She's been there only for a visit, and maybe she had some falafel sandwich, you know, and she really was blown away of the Palestinian experience. There is no such a thing as Palestine. It's about time to retire, find a different job. You're not a journalist. You don't qualify even to be a mother.
Now let's go to some vintage Saturday Night Live when they were actually funny. Watch this superb sketch featuring a Trump impersonator and Trump himself playing the janitor.
Your solid gold faucet.
Send them in.
This place looks like the Liberace Museum.
Hey, I'm the prince of this city. When you're in my office, you treat me with respect.
Who did your decorating? Saddam Hussein?
I'll have you know this is all very classy stuff. And that painting of the tiger and the woman has got me laid on numerous occasions.
I didn't know gay dudes liked tiger paintings.
Hey, you've crossed the line. I've killed people for less.
Looks like you killed a squirrel to me and put it right on top of your head.
You're one to talk. Your hair looks exactly like mine.
Yeah, except my hair's supposed to look like this. I'm a janitor.